Hello, Beldina.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yes,
Hello, Beldina.
yes.
Yeah, so please, you can try sharing your screen with.
I've got it. If you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Okay, so we would like to begin today's session. If all is set, I think we can start now.
That's exciting.
So
I believe it's for
okay,
you to
so
introduce us,
before
please.
yes, so I'll do that and then we can start. So before we begin, I would like to first of all say thank you to everyone who has joined today's webinar. We appreciate your time here, and we are very sure that by the end of the webinar, you would have received very valuable information to assist you in making a decision on your study abroad intentions. And so, my name is Evans, and I work here at Best Education Services as the team lead for inquiry and lead generation. And before Beldina comes in, I just want to take a few minutes to speak about Best Education Services, what we do, and then how we assess students who have plans of studying abroad. So Best Education Services has been in operation for over 7 years, and in that 7 years, we work with a number of universities in the UK, in Australia, in Canada, in the US, in New Zealand, in Ireland, and then in Dubai, in Germany as well. And so what we do is that just when you decide that you want to further your studies abroad, we are there to guide you all the way till you find yourself on campus. We assist you with the application process and also assist you with the visa application process, as well as your flight arrangements and then your accommodation arrangements as well. One of the key things about our services is that we are very keen on students making the very best of decision. And so we don't just want you to go and then study, but then we are concerned about you making the right choice in terms of your course selection and then every aspect that plays a key role in you being successful in your studies. And so I'll entreat all of us that I'm sure after the webinar, there will be a number of people who would want to move on to the next step of putting an application. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we'll be glad to assist you with the entire process. And so with that out of the way, I think that I would invite Beldina, who would be speaking to us today about why you should study at Griffith Universities, the programs available, and then the opportunities available to you as an international student while studying at Griffith University. So, Beldina, I think if you are ready, we can start now.
Thank you so much, Evans. And in the meantime, I'd just like for you to request that you drop in within the chat box just your email and your number, so that the students on here and anyone who's looking to study abroad can be able to write it down, get it on their computer, just in case when they're ready to apply, they're ready. Welcome, everyone. My name is Beldina Muasia. I am from Griffith University. Griffith University is in Australia. So I'm excited to be here. We're partnered very well with Best Education Services. And one thing Evans did not mention is that they actually assist you to be able to apply for the university directly, and they assist you. I believe Evans is free of charge, or is there a cost at which you assist?
There's a little cost attached to it, but obviously, once you speak to us, as I said, our interest is making sure that you make the right decision. So that's our utmost priority when it comes to this
That's
entire
exciting.
process.
So at a very, very small cost, just to be able to weed out the people who are very serious and the people who are not very keen, you can be able, they'll assist you, Best Education Services, to be able to apply to Griffith if you choose to apply to Griffith. So welcome to Griffith University. This is in Australia, and I just want to allow me. So I want to start from here. I've been a student, and I've been the kind of student who's wanting to leave Africa to go study outside of Africa. And I remember some of the questions that were going through my mind when I was thinking of where to go study and what I needed to be able to study. And I remember the first one ideally was, what did I want to study? And this is something I'm hoping we can be able to cover very well here. What do I want to go study? And ideally, where would I want to go study it? The difference between the different destinations for me came from the why. Why did I choose one place as opposed to another? So I'm hoping to answer a lot of these questions as we go through the presentation to allow you to be able to pick and be able to choose the best destination and the best course for yourself. I'm hoping it's Griffith because I believe we're the best, but as we keep going, you'll be able to see. So let's talk about the where first. Location, where is Griffith located? As you can see the map, that's the map of Australia. We're towards the right, that's Queensland itself. And I want to just be able to show you from that map itself. Within Queensland, we have 6 campuses that are spread between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So we have our Nathan campus, our Mount Gravatt, our Gold Coast campus, our Southbank campus, Logan campus, and we also have a digital campus. I rarely have students who are keen on the digital campus. This is something that came up very well during COVID times. But at the moment, if by chance you're able to apply to Griffith and maybe your visa is not out in good time, there's always the option to be able to begin online and be able to translate, because this is still an option for us at the moment. So one fun fact about Brisbane, the Olympics and the Paralympics are coming to Brisbane. That is in 2032. So one of the reasons why I mentioned this is, one, it's exciting to have this under our banner. But the second one is that, can you imagine the kind of development and the kind of growth the cities need to be able to host the Olympics? So if you're looking at courses like hospitality, the hotels that are coming up there are quite crazy. If you're looking at architecture, that's one major one that is taking up that, and construction is doing really well around Brisbane, because between the buildings they have to build and the bridges that have to be developed, engineering is a big one as well. The amount of businesses that are coming to Brisbane or relocating to Brisbane or opening up for the first time, really huge companies opening up within Brisbane and the Gold Coast to make sure that they're able to be available and offer the services for this Olympics and the Paralympics coming down are quite crazy. So in terms of growth and in terms of opportunities, Brisbane and the Gold Coast remain very, very close to that. So talking about the different campuses that we have. So we have our Gold Coast campus. As you can see, the Gold Coast campus is located about 15 minutes from the beach. So that would be the campus itself where my cursor is. And you can see a lot of the development is around the beach around there. One of the things I like most about the Gold Coast is the 300 days of sunshine. So I like the sun. I know we come from Africa, and anytime we're looking to be able to study out there, one of the major things that we have to think about is temperature. What will it be like when I'm there? And being that we're really close to the beach, one, opportunities are very, very available. But two, and very, very importantly, is that the 300 days of sunshine. So it's a really, really good weather that you can talk about. The other thing that I like about it, if you're going into anything in concerns to health, I'm talking about nursing, I'm talking about medicine, I'm talking about psychology, I'm talking about health sciences, I'm talking about different massive global public health. The fact that we have a hospital right opposite our campus, that's a Gold Coast hospital, gives an advantage to a lot of our health students, because they get placements, they get to be able to be trained by lecturers from all over the world that have the right kind of exposure and the right kind of information. So they do get to be able to intern and work within here, and we never lack placements for such students. I must mention there's some courses that are offered, and I'll be talking about the different semesters at which courses are offered. When we're talking about the Master of Global Public Health, that will be offered within November intake. However, with things like nursing, they only take it in during our March intake, which is our first trimester. So I'll be mentioning the different courses that you can do within the different trimesters themselves. So we do have also our Southbank campus. This we call our our city campus. This is located right within Brisbane, for people who are going in to study design, going in to study music, going in to study theatre, going in to study film. All this located within Brisbane. So it's a happening town. It has a lot going on. And because of where it's located, what happens is that you're in touch and you're within the environment that you're actually looking to be at. If you're an art student, then you have influences from all over and all around, and it makes all the difference in the world. One fun fact about our film school, one of the directors of The Simpsons, actually the only director of The Simpsons, his name is Matthew Schofield, actually graduated from the Griffith Film School. So we do have quite a name for ourselves. So if you're looking at such courses, that's a strong one for us as well. We do have our Nathan campus. Our Nathan campus now is the biggest campus we have within the city. It's about, give or take, by bus, and that's what you'd be using to move around a lot. About 20 minutes from the main city. The bus route is actually set up really, really well. The bus stops right within the campus itself. And the campus is quite huge. It looks spread out because it's within the trees. You'll find a lot of the thing about Australians is that they tend to keep to nature. They have a lot of nature around, a lot of buildings and everything, which is quite exciting, very serene environment to be around. One fun fact about, I'll tell you, the Nathan campus is our engineering students tend to do really well within this campus. Our engineering students, architecture students. We have a building that has just come up. We call it the Samuel, it's called the Samuel Griffith Building. And this is Australia's first zero emission, self-empowering teaching and research facility. And when this came up, a lot of our engineering students actually got to participate and be able to contribute towards the building of this building. So it's quite exciting to be able to have. You can imagine a building that cleans its own air, a building that regulates its own temperature, a building that cleans its own water, a building that recycles everything and works with everything. And it's zero emission. I'm using solar panels there, and you can see the clear cover that you can see from the outside is the solar panels that tend to be able to make sure they're able to attract a lot of the power from the sun, and it works really, really well. So quite interesting and very, very exciting to be able to have. Being that it's Australia's first one, it looks very, very good for all the students who got a chance to be able to work on it as well and be able to do it. One other fact is that within our Nathan campus, especially our engineering course, we recently had Audi the car, donate a full car to our engineers to be able, they're not allowed, the only thing they're not allowed to do is drive it, but they're allowed to undo it and break it down and see the exact mechanism in terms of how it's built and how they come up with the car itself for learning. So that tells you that we're quite ahead with a lot of our resources and a lot of the exposure we have within the market to make sure we're giving our students the best of the best. And what that looks like, again, by the time you graduate, as you study, and first of all, the studies are exciting, but then as you graduate, it looks fantastic on your CV as you look for a job and as you look towards being able to build on that. We have our Mount Gravatt campus, this because it's closer to what is this? The Nathan campus is actually right opposite it. It's on the side, we say it's a little colder on this side. This and the Logan campus are quite the same region as well. A lot of courses are run from here as well. We have a good swimming pool. You can see the sports center as well. So students who are really, really keen on sport usually do take up the Mount Gravatt campus. And then we do have our Logan campus. It's the smallest of our campuses. One of the things, a major, we tend to have a lot of students here for aviation and who are looking to be able to fly because of Qantas being quite close here for training. So we do have a number of campuses, and we pick and choose the one you choose, but I'll be mentioning why I prefer others to others as we keep going, depending on the advantages, especially for international students in that way. So why Griffith? I get this a lot. So people ask me, so I have this option to study in this other universities, why Griffith? I want to mention the first fact that we are very future focused. I've mentioned this as I was talking a little about the campuses, but we are really, really committed to environmentally sustainable society. We're keen to see how we can be able to fit in with the world, build technology, work with technology, grow with technology that can be able to fit in and grow within really well. The second part of it is that we find a lot of our lecturers, actually all our lecturers that come to teach at Griffith are usually working in the industry they teach from. So that means that you are taught about the current and what's going on. And it would be, I would give an example. If you're coming in for, say, a master of cybersecurity, it would be really annoying to be able to learn about techniques that were done maybe in the year 2000. You want to know what's current, what's happening, what's going on. If you're coming in for the master of information systems, that's a strong one that we usually have. That's actually offered within our third semester as well. We want to be able to make sure that you're working with software, you're working with systems, everything that is very, very current. And when we have lecturers that are within the industry, this does set us apart in terms of allowing us to be able to give information that is current. The second one is the fact that we are prepared for employment. And I mentioned this because this was something that was very personal to me when I was looking towards where to study. And I keep mentioning the where, because one of the things that happens is as we go to study out there are good universities within Nigeria. So choosing to be able to study anywhere else around the world means that there's a cost that comes to the studies themselves. So the question is always the return on investment. Will I be able to be set apart? Will I get the kind of exposure that I'm looking for? Will I be able to lead within markets that are interesting? And will I be able to perhaps be able to have a difference as opposed to anywhere else I'd have studied? And I'll say this, within our studies, you'll find with most of our programs, actually almost 98% of our programs, all of them have what we call work integrated learning. Let me explain. If a degree is perhaps a bachelor's degree is a 3-year program, what you'd find is within the bachelor's degree, for a few of those semesters, you actually get paid internships or unpaid internships that are incorporated within your studies to allow for you to be able to get the market experience that you're looking at. So perhaps you're going in for IT. One of the things that you'd find is that you can work for different companies. We're partnered with quite a number. The other day we were counting them, there were about 1,600 companies that our students tend to intern for. And we take very personally, because one of the things that we're very, very keen on is to be able to give you the exposure within the market. But as you intern, say you intern for about 3 months, for one course, what happens is that this looks fantastic on your CV by the time you're graduating, but you also tend to build relationships. You tend to test drive your degree. You tend to see what you like about it. You tend to be able to build relationships that by the time you're graduating, you can be integrated in the company that you tend to intern for. Now, what is even more exciting is that we do offer the same kind of opportunities even for our master's students. So this is quite interesting because the kind of relationships we're seeing our students being able to build, at the moment, we have a 93% integration rate for most of our students into the companies they tend to intern for as they study. So that's quite interesting. As I mentioned, we have over 1,600 companies within our docket. So from Google to Cisco's to IBM to KPMG to, you mentioned them, they're right there, to Coca-Cola, to Pepsi. Pepsi is a big one for us, to different companies that are both big and small, I'd say, or medium-sized, but then they do give you the kind of exposure that you might be looking at to be able to do. We mentioned the fact that we create global citizens. I know you know this about Australia, but one of the advantages of studying in Australia as an international student is that if you study for 3 years as a bachelor's degree, 3 or 4 years, you get at least 2 years post-study work visa. If you study for 2 years for your master's, you get 3 years post-study work visa. So this is actually a visa that allows you to be able to work and test drive your degree after you graduate. Now, what is even more exciting, within our Gold Coast campus, and I mentioned that there are campuses that I really, really like, especially for international students. Within our Gold Coast campus, one of the things that happens is, whereas if you're a master's students, if you study for 2 years, you get 3 years post-study work visa, at the Gold Coast, because it's considered a region, you actually get an extra year. So you get 4 years post-study work visa. And that could mean the difference between being able to work for one company and another, and the kind of exposure that you're able to get and what you're able to look for. Now, the last one I'd mention as well is that we're young and ambitious. With a lot of, I know you know this about Australia, we have over about 42 universities around Australia. And there's the group of 8, which is usually the first 8 universities, according to ranking. Griffith ranks just 9th after the 8 themselves. And what is exciting about it is that because we're still young, one of the things that we do is that we tend to adapt, and our courses tend to adapt really easy to the environment and what the environment needs. We also tend to come up with courses that are actually needed really, really fast, and they're translated really, really quickly. So we have over 50,000 plus students on our campuses, which is exciting to be able to see. And within that, I mentioned the 6,000 campuses, we have over 4,000 staff. And within our, we've had over 200,000 graduates from our campuses themselves, with over 200 plus degrees. Now, I will mention we offer our degrees in 3 semesters. We offer our degrees in the first semester, which is usually our, we usually say the March intake, but it's usually people go towards the end of February. So March intake, that's usually our first one. And then we have the July intake, and we also have a November intake. Now, the thing about our November and our July intake is that sometimes some courses are only offered within our first semester. But then the goodness of being able to spread them out like that is this, that if you've applied, say, for the November intake, and perhaps your visa has not come out in good time, you can always be able to defer into our March intake if the course is being offered within the intake itself. So it's always a good advantage to be able to begin the process of application as soon as possible. And I'll not mention this enough, that if you sit with the Best Education Services, the agent that is on today, they would be able to assist you with the process very, very well and guide you very, very interestingly. So let's talk a little bit about the programs. I'll talk generally about the programs, and then I'll switch my screen to show the programs that are actually available for our November intake for anyone who's actually looking for a November intake. Now, within our programs, we have programs, I mentioned over 200 plus programs. So we have programs within architecture and construction and planning. I mentioned because of the growth of the Gold Coast and Brisbane, we're seeing a lot of our students assimilated into companies way before they graduate. So that's quite interesting to be able to see. We have criminology and law, which is a very strong one for us. Our Bachelor of Law is very interesting because it's one of the courses that we have that you can actually have a dual degree with. So you might end up being able to do a Bachelor of Business and a Bachelor of Law, which is usually an interesting one to be able to have. I feel like it usually extends the time that you're in university, maybe by about a year. But what is more exciting about it is that a student can actually graduate. If you have diverse interests, you can graduate to the double degree that would allow you to be able to pursue the different interests there. We do have education, a lot of degrees in here. We actually also in here have a Master of Education if you're looking at a master's in it. We have engineering, IT, and aviation is one of our biggest schools that we have. Within engineering, we'd have degrees that you're able to concentrate on. I know a lot of the time the students will come say, I want to do civil engineering. I say that's okay, because you do the Bachelor of Engineering with a concentration in civil engineering. We do have electronic engineering. We do have that deals with electronics. We do have electric engineering. We have mechanical engineering. We even have environmental engineering, which is really, really coming up really, really strongly within there, within the engineering as well. We do have mechatronics. So if you're looking at drones, you're looking at robotics, that's a strong one for us as well. Our IT courses are also very, very diverse. We actually have computer science, we have a Bachelor of IT, and we also have software engineering that are very, very, very strong courses in there. Now, within it, we also have a Master of IT, and this is actually also offered within our third semester, so that's usually very, very strong. We have our Business and Government, which is a strong area of study, because in here we have a Bachelor of Business. We also have a Master of Business, very, very strong. In here we also have Global Development. that is very, very strong as well. So different courses offered within here to allow. Political science also offered under the school as well. We have humanities and languages. We have medicine. This is where nursing would fall in. This is where anything health would fall in. One that is coming up very, very, very strongly, actually two of them. We have a degree in terms of nursing. We have pharmacology and pharmacy. That's a strong one that is coming up very, very seriously for most of our medicine students who are looking to be able to go into that. We have music, we have the sciences, of course, visual arts as well. These are different areas of study. So I want to just shift my screen to be able to show what courses are actually available for the semester that is upcoming. That's the November semester. And remember, as I mentioned, just in case we do not have it for November, we might be able to pick it up also for March next year. So it's never a loss. It's a win-win either way. Just allow me to be able to pick up the next one. I believe I'll just stop sharing. It just went forward. Allow me to just maneuver my screen as well. Okay, we should be on the right track with the degrees themselves. Kindly let me know if you can see my screen.
Now we can still see it.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the third semester that we're having coming up, we do have quite a number of degrees that are available for the third semester. So we do have our Bachelor of Arts that is available for semester 3. I'll actually put the link within the chat box so that all of you can be able to go back here and be able to see what courses are available for the third semester. Now, the trick about every program that we're having a look at here is that to make sure that it's actually being offered on campus, so that it's not just being offered online in itself. So you can always click on the degree itself, like if you're looking at the Bachelor of Arts, be able to click on it and be able to have a look at when it's being offered and if it's being offered on campus as well. It's just being able to open at the moment. So ideally, you'd see it commences trimester 1, trimester 2, and trimester 3, which means that you can start in November as well in this course. So the Bachelor of Arts right there, offered in both our Gold Coast and our Nathan campus. So you can select the campus that you actually want to go into as you study. We do have our Bachelor of Business, which is a strong business degree that we have within our courses. Within our Bachelor of Business, one of the things I like about our course is the different kind of majors that a student can actually pick. Now, I want you to just have a look. As a student who's going in to study Bachelor of Business, you can pick up to about 2 majors as you study. So you might be able to looking to be able to study accounting. So you can actually do accounting and perhaps pick a second major in taxation. It does give you an edge within the market because you might be able to go into a company. Perhaps they were actually looking for someone to look at the tax. You might be able to pick something like financial planning as a major and be able to pick marketing as a major as well. So have 2 majors at the same time. I have a lot of students who go into real estate and property development, and they also go into something like business analytics in there or economics. So if you're a student looking to study business and you're looking at the different majors that we actually offer, these do give you a chance to be able to look at the different areas that you actually want to be able to go into. I want to just go back and be able to show you the different courses. It seems I've clicked on something. So remember, a lot of these courses are offered. So for our undergraduate, I just want to see. I must have done something interesting on it. Just give me a minute. Seem to have done something. Very interesting. I was doing okay. So within the compass itself, Evans, just allow me to stop sharing for a minute, and then I should be able to get back in a minute.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And I think while we wait for Beldina to get things done, if you have any question, you can start putting them in the chat box, so that after her presentation, she would address them for us.
That's a good one. Yes. I believe I'm back. Okay, so as mentioning the degrees that are available, so we do have our Bachelor of Design that is available for our November intake as well. We have a Bachelor of Environmental Science available, a Bachelor of Exercise Science. It's an interesting one that is coming up in terms of the courses that we're getting. The Exercise Science is people who are looking towards being able to train sports people and be able to work with guys who've had an injury and are looking back to get their mobility back. This is an interesting one to be able to get in terms of Bachelor of Exercise Science. We also have the Bachelor of Health Science itself, very, very strong course for us and works really, really well. For students who are looking to advance a lot of the time and they're looking at, they want to go into health, but they're not looking, they're thinking, I might not want to go into nursing, but I'm not sure which area of health that I'm looking at. The health science is usually a strong one to advance into. A Bachelor of Information Technology is a strong one for Griffith. One fun fact is that we just had a company, it's called Liveworm. Liveworm is an app development company, and they've just set up their offices, or what they call their campus, within our Gold Coast campus, which is one fun fact, because one of the exciting things about the technology, information and technology, and IT and Liveworm is that this gives us a chance to be able to have a lot of our students intern with them, partner with them in terms of information and a lot of apps that are coming up and a lot of development that is coming up within that area. I can see Angel has a question. We'll be able to take the questions as we finish, but kindly, if you're feeling like you might forget it, please type it within a chat box. I'm sure we'll be able to get back to it as soon as possible. We do have a Bachelor of International Tourism and Hotel Management. Actually, within Australia, within the world and within Australia, we rank first in this degree. It's one of our strongest ones that we have that works really, really well for a lot of our students. As I said, with all the hotels and all the industry coming up around there, this is a strong degree to be able to have around there. We have the Bachelor of Psychological Science for anyone who's looking at sciences. We have the Bachelor of Psychology. We have the Bachelor of Public Health, which is a strong one for us, because one of the things that we're finding a lot of is a lot of students want to go into health again, and they're not quite sure which areas they want to go into, or they actually want to go into also a lot of policy. Public health does offer this really, really well. We have our Bachelor of Science available. I want to just move into our masters. So we do have our Master of Business. As a rule of thumb, when you're looking at our master's programs, make sure that the master's programs are 2 years. Why we do this is because a lot of the time with the post-study work visa, it only works if you're able to study for 2 years. So anything that is below 2 years of study, then ideally it would not give you the post-study work visa. So that's a strong one for us in terms of being able to do so. So we have a lot of students who are going into the Master of Business that are very, very strong. We do have a Master of Finance that we have a lot of students going into. A lot of our doctors who are looking to advance, and a lot of our nurses who are looking to advance and they're already working, they usually go into the Master of Global Public Health. You will also see a Master of Global Health, but the Global Public Health, because it's 2 years, allows you to have the post-study work visa, which at the Gold Coast would be at about 4 years post-study work visa. We have one strong one that we have a lot of students going into, which is the Master of Information and Technology. For a lot of IT students who are looking to go into masters, this is really a strong one, and this is also offered within our November intake. We also have our Master of Health Services Management. This is a strong one, as the health services, this one now it's a health services management, a very, very strong degree for us as well. The Master of International Business is a strong one. However, this is a 1.5-year program. And as I mentioned, we must always make sure that it's about 2 years. We have the Master of Social Work. This is a strong one that we have a lot of students applying to. I always mention, however, if you have the prerequisite for requirement is 2 things. One, if you already have a Bachelor of Social Science, social work, you cannot go into Master of Social Work. The reason being, a lot of the time with a lot of our students, accreditation is the same for us for the Bachelor of Social Work and the Master of Social Work. So that's one requirement that they have there for the Master of Social Work. The second thing that they talk about in social work is that the prerequisite has to be that a lot of us, you need a behavioral science. And many people will ask, so what is a behavioral science as a bachelor degree to be able to progress into Master of Social Work? Now, this is where the best education services come in, because they'll be able to help you evaluate, they'll help you to figure out exactly which one would allow you to be able to apply for the Master of Social Work. So remember to keep dropping in your questions as we keep going. We also have, I've mentioned the double degrees that you can actually be able to do. So within our double degrees, you can do a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Business. For this one, I usually find that students sometimes have diverse interests. Someone wants to do psychology, but they also have an interest in business. So usually with the Bachelor of Arts, they can pick, they can do a concentration in psychology and pick the business, the Bachelor of Business as well. You can also do a Bachelor of Business and Data Science. This is a really, really strong one because it allows you to be able to learn to dig through data. Now, I will say this, that within the world, data moves the world. What the numbers can tell you, how they're able to be analyzed. And coming from a business background, this usually can give you an advantage within the market, especially when you're looking for a job. So the Bachelor of Business and the Bachelor of Data Science is as a double degree is also offered within our November intake. We have a Bachelor of Design and a Bachelor of Business, also offered within our November intake, a Bachelor of Environmental Science, now talking about double degrees, and a Bachelor of Business, or a Bachelor of Business and Government International Relations, offered also within there. I mentioned exercise science. It can also be doubled up with business information and technology, can also be doubled up as a double degree. I find double degrees, even though they take slightly longer. You see, for a Bachelor of Business, it would be about 3 years of studies. But if you do with information and technology as a double degree, then it would go to 4 years. It's 1 year extra, but it does make a difference in terms of the exposure and what you're able to get from there. Tourism and hotel management, psychological science. As I mentioned, I'll put this down in terms of the different programs that we're offering. I'll put the link just within the chat box itself so that you can be able to go back and see what we are offering within our November intake. I just want to copy that and just be able to put that within our chat. I already can see about 17 questions in there. I'm sure Evans is also already working towards making sure that they are worked on and they're answered as he keeps going. Now, I want to just get back to the presentation itself, just to be able to go back. I just wanted to mention the courses that we had available, but then we are back there. So talking about the different things about Griffith. One of the things that you find is that we are very, very keen with subject ranking. With our courses, a lot of them, we tend to test them, we tend to look at them. We want to make sure that they're competitive and they're able to sustain you within the market as you come to study at Griffith. So we have a number of rankings that we're very, very proud of as we keep going around the world and even globally. Now, as I mentioned with our lecturers, one of the things that happens is that they are tested and they are checked consistently to make sure that they're actually working and doing what is within the market itself. Now, as I mentioned, this is one of our lecturers, and he's actually been tested. His name is Alan McKay, and he's been Australia's #1 university teacher 3 times in a row. Now, these are what sets us apart in terms of ranking and where we end up in terms of information in itself. So as I mentioned, the rankings globally, around the world, we rank 2nd in terms of nursing, 1st in Australia. Hospitality, we rank 5th around the world, 1st in Australia. With things like law and criminology, we rank 1st in Australia. Dentistry and oral health, we're ranking #2, education #4, and we keep doing this as we keep going. I did talk about industry and internship placement because we are keen about work integrated learning as you study. We do also have sometimes students who partner up with companies, with hospitals on projects, especially with global public health. That's a strong one that we usually have. What happens in there is that we usually have students who partner with us to be able to come up with projects and be able to complete projects. This looks fantastic on a CV when a student is looking to complete their application as they're looking at that. We also do have employment service that is dedicated towards being able to get you employed as you graduate. So towards your graduation, usually you sit with some of our advisors and they'll guide you. For most of our bachelor students, by the time you're doing your 2nd year, within your 3rd year, we actually sit with you and we're very, very keen. Within our master students, usually they're already working in an industry or two part-time, and they're looking towards being able to just complete their studies and continue. Or they can also be able, they're looking to be able to diversify so they can sit with this that team to be able to help them. So one of the things that is playing towards our side, and I've not mentioned this enough, I think I've kept mentioning it, is the fact that with industry, we're having a lot of growth. We have quite a number of regions around Australia, but then we rank as Queensland, South Brisbane and the Gold Coast rank at least 3rd within the regions that we're having in terms of industry and in terms of growth. What this means is that we have a lot of opportunity for our international students. As I come towards the end, we have a number of scholarships available for international students. We actually have the scholarships available for both our undergraduate and our master's students. These scholarships are offered on merit, so they're offered on your studies. We do not have sports scholarships, but we do have merit scholarships. These are dependent on your studies and how you perform. Now, we do have what we call the academic merit scholarship that is about 20%. We have the academic excellence scholarship for 25%, and we have the Griffith Remarkable Scholarship for 50%. Ideally, the higher the scholarship means you had higher grades and you did better within your studies. Now, what is exciting is that within the merit, the academic merit scholarship and the excellence scholarship are automatic scholarships. You do not need to fill in anything. You just need to submit your application through Best Education Services, and then you'd be evaluated for the scholarships that you qualify for, and those are the ones that are awarded to you. I will say this, that if you get, say, the merit scholarship, the 20%, it's not one-off. It's for every year that you have available. So you get 20% of your 1st year, 20% of your 2nd year, 20% of your 3rd year. If you're looking at your master's, it would be 20% of both years of your master's as you study. Now, they do look at the GPA. The GPA is on a scale of 7, so they have a way in which they evaluate to make sure you're able to get it if you qualify. The Remarkable Scholarship, however, is a scholarship that students are able to apply for directly. Now, the best part about having Best Education Services is that they assist you in the application process and they guide you on how to be able to submit the documents that you'd need for that. We have a few key dates to be able to consider. In terms of now the trimester 3, one of the things that we must look at is that the trimester would run between 7th November to 10th February 2023. Now, orientation is actually on the 31st of October. So that means if you're looking to apply, the best time to apply is now, just in case, so that you can begin your visa processing as soon as possible. One of the things that it does, the urgency of it is very, very important, because what happens is with ideally Ghana and Nigeria, the visa processing time usually takes a little longer. We're finding with Ghana right now, if I'm not wrong, Evans, are we at about 2 to 3 months? for the
Yes,
visa?
yes, we are between 2 to 3 months.
Okay,
Yes.
so with 2 to 3 months, then ideally, if you're really looking to begin in November or end of October into November, the time to apply is now if you're really, really keen to go. Um, the process to apply, I'd say just visit Best Education Services and they'll guide you. Let's talk a little bit about the lifestyle. I want to put on my lights on my side. It seems that it's gotten a little darker real quick as I come towards it, but Evans, you can be taking a few questions as I do that.
Okay, sure. So I think that the number of questions in the chat box, quite a lot. So while we wait for Beldina to come back, I think we can touch on a few of them. So Ebenezer is asking that he's looking at a MSc Data Science or MSc Statistics with full tuition. So I think from the presentation Beldina did on the scholarship, you can clearly see that there are no full tuitions. You can get, but then you can get up to about 50% once you meet the requirements that you ought to meet. So I think Beldina is back now. So I'll hand over to her.
Very well. Angel, we can still see your hand. Well, I will make sure your question is the first one I take as we keep going. Right there. So talking a little bit as I come towards the end, the lifestyle around Australia. I think it matters to me where you end up going to study, especially if you're going to spend 2 years of study and perhaps have more years of being able to not only study, but go back and be able to work. You want an environment that you'll enjoy. You want an environment that is set up to accommodate all of our international students. So one of the things that you realize with Queensland. So as I mentioned, we have 300 days of sunshine. This is the Gold Coast that you can see within the pictures because we're very, very proud about that. And we do have student accommodation that is within campus, but we also have student accommodation spread out all over the cities. The cities are very, very keen to make sure that our students are accommodated well. You see like the Gold Coast was just recently according to QS, rated Australia's most affordable city for students. So that means that they are taking into consideration students, they're taking into consideration student accommodation, they're taking into consideration things as simple as even transport. You find as a student within at Griffith, you have 50% of your transport for the lifetime at which you're studying at Griffith, which can go a long way towards making sure the city is a city that you actually enjoy and your money goes a long way. We do have the Brisbane city that was ranked one of the world's most livable cities because of the environment and everything that happens. You find there's a lot of offers. There's also a lot of part-time jobs. Now, I'll mention this. Some of the things that make Australia very attractive is that you can work up to about 20 hours a week as you study and full-time when you're not in session. Then this is a provision guided within your visa. That is very exciting, especially for all our students, because what it means is that you can make some extra pocket money. They usually pay about, give or take, $22 per hour. So if you're doing 20 hours a week, you'd be at about $400 per hour, $400 per week, $440 a week. Within a month, that's about 1,600. I believe that makes life much livable within the city. Of course, if you're a master's student and you already have qualifications, when you're looking towards getting a job, perhaps you're a doctor or you're a nurse and you're going in to get your degree, or you're going in for the Master of Public Health, you can actually work part-time as you study. And of course, the wages would be much higher because you're already qualified, so you can be able to work as you study. Now, the population you can see there is not too crazy, meaning you're able to move around really, really well. We actually have quite a number of students who come from Ghana and quite a number of students who come from Africa to go study at Griffith. At the moment, we're aiming at about 20% of the population of Griffith. So that means that you will find people, you will find your tribe, you will find where you fit in and how it works really, really well. I mentioned transport. The bus, the train, the ferry, the airports in terms of flights. Whilst you're there, one of the things that you'll find is that they do have quite affordable flights and offers that come from the different companies all through the year. So if you're looking towards, say, coming back home next year, or you're looking towards your child coming back home towards say next year, if they go in November, you're looking towards them coming back maybe in August. One of the things that you can always be on the lookout for is the offers that are always available in terms of flights and everything that make everything much simpler and much easier to be able to do. Now, I did mention, because of the Gold Coast being a region, again, this gives us an advantage because we have, on top of the years that you get to be able, the post-study work visa, the years you get, if you get 2 years after your undergraduate, we usually add one more for the Gold Coast. If you get 3 years for the postgraduate, we add one more, so it becomes 4 at the Gold Coast. So this does make a difference in terms of your post-study work visa and the attractiveness of the Gold Coast. As I come towards the end, we do have a serious support team. As you begin, we actually have an African association that is a budding association. I believe they're actually having a barbecue for all international students this coming weekend, for the ones who went in T2. So that's quite exciting to be able to have, because what happens is students tend to meet people who've been in Australia, who are working there, who have opportunities. Perhaps they're looking for better accommodation. These are avenues that they can be able to pursue. We also have the Griffith mates that tend to receive a lot of our students. If you give warning that you're about to travel to Griffith, we usually have the Griffith mates that are meant to be able to receive you right at the airport and be able to drop you at your accommodation and be able to guide you step by step on what you need. They actually organize activities for almost 3 months into the program to make sure that you assimilate and you're able to fit in really, really, really well. So it's usually a good one. You make friends much easier, and it makes it much simpler to be able to be there. We do have platforms at which you can actually be able to chat with our students and allow, if you have questions that you don't want to have a one-on-one with them, this is a possibility that we're able to arrange. And that's it from me at the moment. Evans, I'm done. Thank you very much. Just as a brief presentation, of course, and just to give you an idea of everything. And I am here. Yes, Evans.
Okay, thank you very much, Beldina, for the wonderful presentation. I think people are actually sending a lot of questions, so quickly
That's exciting.
Get into that. But first off, let's address Angel Anderson's question. I think his hands has been up for some time. So, Angel, if you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please, can you hear me?
You can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I've been on the live ever since it started. That was from 3. I was even actually on the line from 2:55. And my question right now is, I heard everything, the presentation, everything was very fantastic. Thank you. And I've been facing this problem when it comes to applying for scholarship outside the country. And there are some universities that ask for international examination tests like the TOEFL, the SATs, and all that. But some universities too are not much interested in that because they say Ghana is an English-speaking country. But when you apply, they still ask for that requirement. So when we were making the explanation, I think I went through the programs, Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of, and I still saw that requirement there.
Let me just, if I'm hearing you correctly, sir, Mr. Angel, you're asking if there's a requirement for English, the English requirement, and being that you're from Ghana and you're already speaking in English, if there's that kind of requirement, and if it's required for the scholarships. Is this a question you're asking?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, I will mention that with different courses, the IELTS requirement changes. Like for us, you'll see for the business, like you mentioned, the IELTS requirement is a 6.5. We always state it there because there are countries that do not speak English at all. So like when we're looking at countries up north, they don't speak any English, we do require English exams. However, for Ghana, anytime you see an IELTS 6.5 requirement, that we do not require English from Ghana, if you understand, from a student from Ghana. However, we do have courses where we do have an IELTS of 7. With most of our health courses, you'll find the IELTS requirement is a 7. And when the IELTS requirement is a 7, then we do require an English requirement. That is just course-based and according to administration. The scholarships is a different avenue because the scholarships, as I mentioned, the first two are actually automatic scholarships. So what they tend to do is that they're very, very keen to make sure that they are based on the application. So you don't need to submit a separate application towards getting your assessment for the scholarship itself and to be able to apply for it. So if you qualify, dependent on your grades, then the scholarship is awarded to you and you're able to go ahead with it. I hope that has answered your question, sir. For more information on anything to do with IELTS, and if the course you're looking to study requires an IELTS exam, you can kindly make sure you visit the Best Education Services, and I am sure they'll be able to look through the course and check if it's at 6.5, which means no need for English. If it's a IELTS 7, then we require an English exam.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Angel. I can see Ebenezer has his hand up as well.
Thank you. I would like to know, when you were talking, you made mention of the scholarship section. That's
Yes.
You'll be able to get up to 50% scholarship. So on the onset, if you apply and assume your fees is around 33,000 AUD, and then you are getting 50%, you have to pay for the remaining 50 before you can enter Australia, right? So if you're not able to do that, that means you wouldn't be able to study.
Yes, ideally, because sorry to cut you short, but I believe your question is, if you get the 50%, the other 50 you have to pay for before you can head out to study. The tuition, the scholarships are usually based on tuition. So let me give you an example. Suppose you're meant to pay about 32,000 Australian dollars and you get the 50% scholarship, which is an applied, that one you have to apply separately, as opposed to the first two, which are automatic ones. And this is why you go in and make sure you see Evans or the team at Best Education Services so that they can guide you. So for the 50%, what they do, if you're meant to pay tuition of 32,000, half of it would be 16,000 Australian dollars. That would be spread within the 2 semesters. And then you'd have to pay perhaps 8,000 Australian dollars before you have to travel, because that's what you need to be able to pay to get your, what we call the COE, which is the letter of enrollment, to allow you to apply for your visa. So that's always a requirement. So I hope I've answered your question, Ebenezer.
Yes. Well answered. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have a question?
I think Randy Arthur.
Yes.
I think there's a hand up, Randy Arthur.
Okay. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a fantastic presentation. This is just a follow-up question about the first question concerning the IELTS. If I understand you clearly, then it means if a nation student is applying for global public health and based on the requirement, he sees an IELTS of 7, that means irrespective of him coming from Ghana, he still needs to provide an IELTS, right?
Yes, they still need to provide an IELTS. For most of our health programs, we need IELTS. I do not know if the Master of Global Health, I can actually just have a look. Hold on. Right now, the Master, I want to just have a look at it. The Master of Global Public Health, to make sure if we need an IELTS of 7. Just give me a minute. I found it. So for our Master of Global Public Health, It's actually, the IELTS requirement is a 6.5, which means you do not require an IELTS exam.
Okay, thank you
But
very much.
it's on a cost-to-cost basis, and this is why I always insist that you go in and see Evans at Best Education Services. Please visit the offices so that they can actually check the course that you require, and if you require English, to be able to apply for the course itself. I hope I've answered your question, Randy.
Okay, thank you. And also, this is a follow-up question. Actually,
Yes, please.
I wanted to find out if Griffith has a payment plan, like when it comes to tuition, a payment plan for international students when it comes to fees, like the tuition.
That is a good question. So with tuition, say like the Master of Global Public Health, you'd see, I just want to be able to share my screen again, just for a minute so that I can be able to answer your question very thoroughly, so that you know what you're looking at when you're looking at the courses themselves. So if you click at the course, like if you look at the Master of Global Public Health, being offered in all the trimesters that are available, either in March, in July, or in November, offered at the Gold Coast campus, you can see the IELTS requirement that I mentioned is a 6.5, which means that because you've studied English, we do not require an English requirement from you. We don't require you to do the IELTS. In terms of tuition here, you'd see without any scholarship, the tuition would be 32,500. And here's the thing, Australian dollars. I want you to note that the Australian dollars are cheaper than the American dollar. So you need to be able to calculate it according to USD to be able to see. So with the 32,500, when you're paying for your tuition, to be able to get your letter of enrollment, you'd actually pay half of this. So you'd pay 16,250 for your first semester, because we have 2 semesters per year. You divide the tuition by 2. So if there's a scholarship, say there's a 20% or a 50% off, that would make it about 16,250. Divide by 2 again for paying per semester, then you'd be paying at about 8,000. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Randy. Thank you. I can see James has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much for the explanation.
Yes.
I wanted to actually understand if I'm a self-paying student.
Yes.
I want to do Master of Information Technology. I'm a self-paying student. I can see my school fees will be around 35,000 Australian dollars, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what do I have to pay before I can be accepted admission, travel to Australia, and how will the payment plan be like, or the remaining school fees if I travel to Australia?
Okay. That's a good question to be able to have. I'm actually opening up the Master of Information Technology. The tuition would be 35,000 Australian dollars. You're correct. So what you'd have to pay, we pay per semester. And so you'd pay per semester, which would be half of that, which would be 17,500 Australian dollars that you'd have to pay before you're able to get your letter of enrollment to be able to travel and be able to study. The next amount would be paid during the next semester when you'd be looking to be able to go in. So if you're looking at November, you'd go in November, and then the next semester would be March to be able to start. So we do a dual semester in terms of the tuition itself. So that's how you're able to make the payment.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. David, I can see your hand is up.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah,
Thank you. I can't hear you completely. If you can add a little bit of more volume, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation. Well, I was late in your presentation though, but I believe I've gotten enough of the information that you presented.
Yes.
Well, I offered medical laboratory technology, and professionally I'm working, and I would like to find out if you also offers a master's in chemical pathology or histopathology. in your institution. Yeah. And moreover, I also want to find out if you also help in visa acquisition.
That's a good question to be able to have. Now, the first one in terms of the masters itself, we do not have the master of pathology. However, this becomes a concentration within our medical degree. That's our doctor of medicine. So that can be a concentration within our doctor of medicine degree that we actually have, but that usually starts from the bachelor's degree into doctor of medicine. The second part of it is that one of the best things for having Evans here is that Best Education Services is our partner within Ghana. So they represent Griffith in Ghana. And one of the best things they do is that they assist not only in the application of your course, they actually also assist you in the visa application process, and they give you the requirements of everything you require to be able to get the details in there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. I can see Bennett, the hand is up. Yes, sir. Mr. Bennett, kindly unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
Yes.
I have a master's degree in chemical engineering.
Oh, wow. Okay,
And
congratulations.
I want to know if, yeah, thank you. I want to know if your university offers PhD in that regard, chemical engineering or very related discipline.
We do. That's a very good question, Bernard. And I will say we do have quite a number of PhDs available for application. Usually there's a link that you're able to do to have a look at. The PhDs are usually dependent on being able to have someone who can be able to, the supervisor, that's usually the first part of being able to apply for PhD courses, because you have to get a supervisor before you're able to begin the application process. But I'm sure if you go into Best Education Services, they'll guide you on the courses and the PhDs that are available and the supervisors, because they keep changing depending on the semester and the trimester. So they depending on the trimester, they can tell you which supervisors will be available, and if you can begin your application. Even if you're unable perhaps to get a supervisor, say for November, you can actually check to see if the supervisor is available for the March intake and the application process, so they'd be able to guide you step by step.
Okay, and please, the second one.
Yes, please.
How about the funding for PhD programs? Do you have scholarship?
I
think that there are a few questions in there. Okay.
Yes. Let me just answer that one, Evans, and then I'll be able to get it. In terms of the PhD programs, usually it depends on the supervisor and what the research pathway is, and the funding is usually tied to that. That's why we have to get a supervisor before we begin the application process, and they can guide you on exactly what you need in that essence, and how much in terms of if you were to pay tuition, what would that look like, if that's okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much. That's fine.
You're welcome. Evans, you'd said something.
Yeah, I'm saying that there are a number of questions in the chat box, so if we can quickly have a look at them.
Yes.
Yeah. So someone please walk in. Can you hear me, Veldina?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So Aisha is asking, what intake do you have for Master of Social Work?
What do we have? What intake do we have for Master of Social? The Master of Social Work, as I've displayed, you can do November intake, you can do March intake, and you can do July intake. It's available for all three intakes for the Master of Social Work. The only requirement there is that they're very keen that you do have a bachelor's degree in a behavioral science. And this is why I would insist that you go into Best Education Services so that they're able to check your degree and to make sure that you're in line with the application.
Okay. So someone is asking, can a higher national diploma student pursue a master's with his or her certificate? I think that, Beldin, I would like to take this one.
Yes,
Personally,
please.
for me, that's one of the things I like. Personally, for me, that's one of the things I like about Griffith University, and that's because they make provision for students with a higher national diploma who have the needed work experience to be able to move on to study a master's program. And so let's say you want to study a master in engineering project management, but then you have an HND. If you have the required work experience, you can be exempted and then you move on to do your master's, but then you would have to certainly go through the master's qualifying program. So that's one of the great things you can get about Griffith University. But then obviously, if you visit our office or you speak to us, we'll be able to explain further for you to know if you are eligible for that particular provision made by Griffith University.
That's exciting.
I think,
That you
Beldina, I
answered
don't know
that
if you would
completely.
want to add anything.
No,
Yeah.
that one you've done, you've
So
said it the way I'd have said it completely.
okay, that's so. Let's look at please, madam, what's the entry requirements? Any international exam requirements? I think Beldina touched on that earlier when she was answering Angel Anderson's question. Um, Interested in a master's in chemical pathology or histopathology? I want to know if you have that program available.
I think he also asked for it when we were talking, and I mentioned that that will be part of Doctor of Medicine as a concentration. So that would be the pathway that they'd be able to take if they're
Okay.
looking to apply into those particular areas.
Okay. Entry requirements for master in global health and the application fee involved. Um,
I like that.
okay, so
In terms of the Master of Global Public Health, you find that you require your undergraduate degree, of course, and the undergraduate degree needs to be in a related health science, of course. In terms of the application fee, we waiver the application fee if you apply through Best Education Services. So if you go into Best Education Services and you begin your application process, they won't charge you anything in terms of application fee to Griffith because they are our partners and we work closely. So that's an advantage we have with them, you being able to apply directly there.
okay. Senior wants to know if does the school assist in securing a visa for master's program. Senior, I
you can
think
take that
that's
one.
one of the reasons why. Yes, I think that's why we Best Education are here. That's what we are here for, to assist you with your visa application process. Sometimes this process might be a bit tricky, and so once you speak to us with our experience, we'll be able to guide you. Obviously, everyone has a different case, and so we'll be able to assess your case carefully and then give you the best advice, as well as help you with the administrative aspect of lodging the application. So certainly, we will be able to assist you with that. Someone is asking, please, what are the entry requirements for bachelor degree programs? Are there full scholarship options?
Now, I will say the bachelor degree depends on what you're going to study. The other part of it is depends on the grades you've had in terms of your O levels, not O level, in terms of your A level studies, in terms of what we're able to take. One of the things that I will say with our bachelor's degree is that even if you don't meet the requirements for direct entry, we do have the Griffith College that you can be able to enter through that will allow you to be able to perhaps bridge the course. And if perhaps the bachelor degree is a 3-year program, what would happen is that you'd get one of those years where you're doing the diploma program, you'd actually enter through the second year after the first diploma. So you wouldn't lose any time within your bachelor's degree. The second one is that no, we do not have any full scholarships. The highest scholarship we have is the 50%. That's a direct, and that one is an application that you lodge towards the scholarship itself. Best Education Services is very well versed in terms of guiding you in terms of the scholarships and what you're able to do to be able to get there. So definitely visit them to be able to see what you need in terms of the scholarship and everything there. Okay.
Okay.
And that is
So another question: will second class lower division be admitted for MSc ICT education? I think that generally Griffith accepts second class lower, and so certainly once, but then obviously there are instances where there are specific course requirements, and so you have to check the school's website. But generally, Griffith University accepts second class lower, and so you can also, I'm sure you'll be eligible for this particular program.
that's a perfect one, yes.
Beldina, please, do you have anything to say on this?
I will say that with our programs, we do our best to be a little flexible to allow for people to be able to come in. The goodness of the requirements is that when you visit Best Education Services, they'll be able to tell you absolutely where we can take up to and where we might not be able to take up to. So that's always a good one. I will say with the degrees themselves in terms of the GPA, the higher the GPA, remember there's also the opportunity for the scholarships that we have available between the 20 and the 25%. So that's always a good one as well to be able to have there.
Okay. Also, Randy is asking, can a student with a bachelor's degree in nursing pursue masters in global health?
Yes. A student with a bachelor's degree in nursing can pursue a master's in global public health, not global health, global public health, because nursing is considered a health science within the same pathway. And usually what they're looking for, especially even when you're applying for your visa, is progression. So ideally, they'd say the student is looking to progress and grow to a certain area in that sense.
Okay. I think, I don't know if you've already answered this, but Bernard is asking, do you also have PhD in chemical engineering or related disciplines?
I think I answered that one previously with mentioning the fact that they need to get a supervisor to make sure the supervisor is in line for the PhD programs that we have available.
Okay, I think Benizakwesi, your question has been answered a number of times about full tuition scholarship. So Beldina, there's a question here. I think it is a very interesting one about SOPs, the SOP requirements. I don't know if you can briefly speak about the importance of SOP in this entire process and how key it is to a student's application.
Now the SOP, for those who don't get it, is who don't understand what it means a statement of purpose. And this is a big one for us because it's within the application. When you're applying to Australia, one of the things they're always checking for is if you're a genuine student. Angel, I saw your hand up. We'll make sure we get to you in a few minutes. Sorry, we're taking a bit of time. So what happens is with the statement of purpose, this is within the application, they're always looking for what they call a genuine student when you're doing an application to Australia. And the second term you'll find that we use continuously is progression. If there'll be progression between what you've studied and how being able to study in Australia will be able to progress your career and be able to place you differently around the world. So within the statement of purpose, this is where you're able to showcase, one, your genuineness as a student, and secondly, your ability to showcase how being able to take up the next degree will be able to enhance and drive your degree and be able to grow you as a person, grow your career, and be able to get you there. So what happens there is that it's really, really important to be able to develop it. One of the things I like best about Best Education Services is that they do guide you, they do give you guidelines, because they've lodged quite a number of visas and quite a number of applications for students to Griffith and students who are now currently actually in Australia, studying in Australia, because they actually went through them and they're able to succeed in the application. Within the statement of purpose as well, this is where you're able to explain perhaps a gap that might have been there within your studies, or a gap that might have been anything that is in there. Perhaps you are a mom and you took a year off to be able to have your child, and all these things are able to be explained within your statement of purpose, and of course within your resume as well. So it's always a good one. It's a good place to be able to have the explanation. the guidelines that we give within the statement of purpose to allow for you to be able to give the best information and to be able to present yourself at your best. So I always say, as you do it, one, very, very important, we require the statement of purpose. But the second part is this, that kindly, I cannot say this enough. Please visit Best Education Services to get the guidelines to be able to do it. And I always say it's very important that you do it yourself because you understand yourself best in that way. They will guide you, they will show you, they will say, okay, try adjust this. But then at the end of the day, you need to be able to come out within the statement of purpose. They need to be able to see you within the statement of purpose. So that's very, very, very important. The other one that I always say is this, make sure one of the things we check that it is very, very interesting is that English is really, really important there in terms of our tenses and what we're able to put in there. So make sure you're able to check spelling, tenses, and the details that go in there.
Okay. Just to add to what Beldina said, I think that for us, we are very particular about that aspect of the application process. And so once you speak with Best Education Services, we'll carefully guide you through all the requirements of the SOP, and then also make sure that we review whatever you've written and then make sure it's up to standard for the visa application process. So do all to get in touch with us so that we can carefully assist you with your SOP. I think there are some few questions here. So Edward is asking about our office location. Edward, we are located in East Legon, not so far from Shiashi. Once you are coming from Accra or you take the 10 entry East Legon, you can locate our office. But you can also pick the numbers that we've shared in the chat box and call us. We would send you the location to our office. I think that will be so. Someone is asking about student accommodation. How is it to secure an accommodation for international students?
Okay. Depending on at what point you're applying, you can be able to apply for accommodation on campus. That's usually a lot of our students coming in for undergraduate studies. That's where I suggest they start, that they're able to come live just on campus as they study, and then they can move off campus as they study, as the years go by or as the months go by, as they get used to the environment. However, with accommodation, we do have a whole sect within our website that will guide you on the application and the places that we've vetted, the places that are available, so that you can begin to be able to speak. We have a whole accommodation team that assists you in terms of the accommodation and how to be able to go about it. I will say, I was recently there. It was my first time in Australia. And one of the things that happens is I managed to move around, what is this? I managed to move around Gold Coast. I managed to move around Brisbane very, very easily. So you find a lot of the time, like the train system will move from, with a lot of the student accommodation, even if you're off campus, will move from just right outside your, where you're living, straight to the campus itself. And maybe it will take 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So you find that even being able to maneuver, that works really well. We also have the Griffith mates that are able to assist you and guide you in terms of movement and being able to get a class in time and make sure that your transition is actually quite easy, very, very well. When I launch my application for November intake, how long will it take for Griffith to assess documents and respond considering the time factor? Now, this depends on Aisha. That's a very good question. This depends really on when you lodge your application, because with Best Education Services, they're able to prompt us. They have direct access to our admissions team. So they'd be able to reach out to the team if there's any delays and be able to do it. Ideally, we're working towards making sure if you're able to submit everything in good time, even including for the what we call the GTE assessment in good time, we're looking towards doing it as soon as possible to just get the time. I've seen applications that if everything's submitted, they're doing it within a week or two. But then I also see applications where when we start prompting for different documentation that is not ready, it might take longer. But then because Best Education Services has direct access to our team, it actually helps to be able, our admissions team, they actually tend to process things faster because they know what we need and how we are able to guide that really, really well. Before I go to the next two questions right there, I want to just ask, I think, James, your hand is up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this question quickly. I got a series of them, but I want to put them in.
Okay.
Small. The health part of the admission. I think I checked a PDF document of the breakdown of Griffith's admission. It talk about single, couple, and family. Can you explain that part of the health? I think the health insurance part of the application.
There is a, when you're doing your application and when you're doing, when you're submitting your application, one of the things that we tend to do is that you do need, as you submit your payment, you'll need to be able to pay for your studies, and then you will need to be able to pay for the health insurance. The health insurance is mandatory for anyone who's looking to do their application to Australia. It's required by the Australian government and for the visa processing in itself. So we just guide you in terms of being able to do so. The reason why they give the options of the different payments in terms of what you need is that if you're going by yourself, that's the first one. If you're going as a couple, perhaps you're traveling with your spouse, then it would be the couple, and then the family would be the third one. So depending on how you're traveling and how you're launching your visa application, then you'd be able to pay for the different health coverage that you require.
Okay.
I hope I've answered your question, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Quickly. If you're looking for the family and apparently the visa for family is delayed and you're accepted, you need to travel. How Griffiths help in terms of that? I don't know.
In terms of the visa application process and in terms of the details of a visa, I suggest you actually sit with Evans at Best Education Services so that they can guide you on the exact detail of the visa lodging, the advantages of lodging the visa as yourself first and being able to have perhaps your family follow, or being able to lodge all of it at once. I suggest you actually visit Best Education Services. They are very well versed in terms of visa application to Australia for yourself, and if you're looking at family, what that would look like. And they will give you a very good breakdown of their different advantages, because there are advantages towards seeing how best to approach it if that's the goal. Is that okay, James?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Beldin, I think there's a question. Okay.
Yes.
I think there's a question in the chat box.
Yes.
Someone is asking about, I have a BSc medicine and I'm interested in studying nutrition and dietetics or clinical nutrition. How does the university offer such discipline? And if yes, do I stand a chance to qualify, and how much by estimation would I have to spend?
I like that one. Now, I will say, this is an interesting question because, as I mentioned, as we're speaking about the SOP, one of the things, the university might accept an application, but then we're always looking at progression, especially when you're doing your visa application. So when you're doing your visa application, one of the major questions that you'll probably have within your SOP is, you already have a BSc in medicine. Why would you want to be able to study another bachelor's degree? Because that's how we offer nutrition and dietetics, as a bachelor's degree. Why would you want to progress there? How will that be able to grow your career and build on your career? And essentially what we found is a lot of the time when they cannot see progression, a lot of the time the visas become, they take a while and then they become very tough in terms of being able to get them. So I will say, yes, we do have a Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics, 1. 2, however, this is offered as a bachelor's degree, and with a BSc in medicine, one of the things I'd be keen on is to, as you're doing your application, for you to have progression. So I would suggest perhaps a master's in global development or a master's in global public health. so that you're able to get progression within your degree in itself. Does the university accept external scholarships if they can be identified and they are well documented and they can be proven? Then that's usually something that Best Education Services is able to evaluate and tell you if that's an external scholarship that we can be able to accept. So kindly visit them and they'll be able to guide you step by step. Does the university external scholarships? I've answered that one. Does the university offer a master's in plant genomics and breeding or plant genetics? Ideally, we do not have a master's like that, unless I'm wrong, but we do not have a master's in plant genomics and breeding and plant genetics. Anything within the agriculture, we ideally do not have it at the moment. So kindly visit Best Education Services. I'm sure they'll find a degree that is similar or something that is in line with that they can be able to suggest to you to be able to do. I had a couple of hands up.
I think, Dodina, I think that maybe we'll take 2 more questions and then
yes, we have to close.
All
yes.
those who have questions, I think they can speak to us after the webinar. And then we'll gladly assist them with their questions. So I think I will take 2 more questions.
I can see that
Yes.
does the university offer masters in international relations?
Does the university offer masters in international relations?
We actually have the Master of Global Development. Kindly go in and see them. That one is usually very, very, very close to, it's just the word terminology for me, but it feels like a Master of International Relations. So yes, we do offer it and it is available. We'll take the last question. I guess we got too excited. We are past our time by 30 minutes, but we're keeping on going.
Yeah.
I'll ask Evans to please drop your details again, just on the chat again, so that anyone who did not get them can just get them at this point, in terms of your email and the phone number. Kindly call, visit the offices. These guys, I can tell you, I've been to their office. They're very friendly guys. They will receive you very well and they will guide you step by step. It's always good to go in because you never know the advantage they might have, what market intel they have, and how they can be able to guide you best to be able to get your application in. I believe Angel had his hand up a while back, but I don't know if we managed to answer it. If we did, that's okay. If not, we'll take just the last question just in case. If not, I think we can close it here.
Okay. But then I think whilst we wait for the last question, or whilst we wrap up, I would like to give this quick announcement. So I'm sure, Dodina, you are aware we have a number of students, Ghanaian students on campus from Best Education Services. And so in our next event, one of the things we will be looking at is a day in the life of a Ghanaian student at Griffith University, because we believe that it's very important that you hear it from the horse's own mouth, how it feels to be studying at Griffith University, the opportunities available, and also how you can even go about your day-to-day activities on Griffith campus. So that's our next event that we'll be having. And so if you are here, I will entreat you to follow us on our social media pages, and also you can also save our contacts so that once it's time for that program, you would get all the necessary details to be able to participate in that program. Honestly, I can assure you that it's going to be very informative and very exciting, because obviously you are getting people on the ground to share their experiences with you. So please do all to follow us on our social media pages. We will drop the handles in the chat box as well as our contact details and our location. So please do all to pick them up and then follow us so that you get the information as and when we post them. Okay, thank you, Dodina. I think you were saying something. Kindly.
I think it's just Angel who had his hand up. Angel, please. Just unmute yourself.
Angel. Yeah, madam. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
I wanted to ask a question. Considering doing the registration, but you already answered it. So
perfect. It seems you're thinking. That's exciting. Then on that note, I believe Evans, please take the details that Evans has just put on the chat, just right there. In terms of in terms of the contacts, in terms of the details of how to be able to reach them. And you should be able, once you're able to just reach them, they also have access to me directly, and they'd be able to get to you as quickly as possible. I've just reposted Evans's details there. He's also posted LinkedIn and the different handles that you can follow them on. Twitter is always a good one. Facebook, they do a lot of good things on Facebook, so that's very exciting. Anyway, I want to say a big thank you for letting me present to you this afternoon, and for everyone who's attending. That was a very good attendance. I am excited, and I'll be glad to welcome you to Griffith once you're ready to be able to apply. Remember, do not hesitate to visit Best Education Services. These guys are partnered with us. We've checked them, we've verified they have sent students to Griffith, so we can be able to speak confidently about them as an agency within Ghana. I want to just pass it on to Evans to close the session for us. Evans, you are still muted, please.
I was saying that thank you very much for the wonderful presentation, and also taking time to answer all the questions that were asked. I'm sure people still have questions, but please feel free to contact us even after the webinar, and we'll gladly assist you with all your questions. Once again, thank you to everyone for joining, and know that our offices are open to you. You can come in at any time to make more inquiries and find out more about how you can study at Griffith and then the opportunities available to you. Once again, kindly be on the lookout for our next event, which is a day in a life in a Ghanaian student on Griffith campus. So I'll then treat all of you to once again follow our social media pages so that you'll be well updated once we put out information concerning this event. Okay.
Yes, great.
And also this webinar session was recorded, and we'll be uploading it on our YouTube channel. So you should certainly go and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get the notification once we do that. For those of you who couldn't join from the beginning, that will be an opportunity for you to catch up with all that Beldina shared with us. And so once again, Beldina, thank you very much for the time, and I'm looking forward to our next session.
Thank you very much, and have a good
Bye,
afternoon.
everyone, and
Enjoy
have
your Friday.
yeah.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.